All right, we're live. Let's get going here. Still figuring this out. It's coming along. We got a nicer camera here. I hope the audio is coming through. I've got a weird connection here. So I'm going to go on my workout. If you guys have questions, put them in the comments here. I'm happy to see them. Most importantly, give me some feedback. Let me know if you can hear me, because I have a mic situation here. I'm not sure if I'm doing this right. All right, can you guys hear me? Just type in the chat. Hey, Chantel. Oh, Chantel, thank you. Appreciate it. Can you hear me? Just give me like a thumbs up in the chat if you can. Okay, yes, I can. Fantastic. Thank you, Chantel. All right, and it sounds all right? It's not like really choppy? Just want to make sure. Great. Kimberly says yes. Harvey says yes. All right, Stacy can hear me. What's up, everybody? How y'all doing? Ready for a workout? I got deadlifts today. I'm gonna do a little circuit: deadlifts, calf raises, and sit-ups, weighted sit-ups. So here we go. Let me just say hi to a few more people here. Debor says hi. Mary McCormick says hi, or says yes. You can hear me. Fantastic. I got Robert Bruce says clear. Fantastic. All right, y'all can hear me. Wonderful. Well, if y'all have any questions, I am available to answer anything that I can right now within my scope of knowledge. I'm not going to step out of that. I don't like to talk about things I'm not good at, that I'm not knowledgeable about. So go for it. Oh, Chantel, thank you. Deep in the heart of Texas. I am a Texan through and through. Love my state. All right, Wendy Summers. I have stenosis. All right, we got the first question coming in. Let's go, Wendy. Good job. I have stenosis of lumbar shoulder. Lumbar. Okay, not sure I understand this. I have stenosis of lumbar. Should I use the adductor and abductor machine? No, I'm not a fan of that one. Usually when you have stenosis, you need to worry more so about getting your glutes stronger so that you can get a better support from the bottom of the spine, for the tailbone, the pelvis, and then in addition to that, you need to get your abdominal stronger. So you need to be doing exercises that turn on the glutes, because very often people don't even have good glute activation when they have lumbar stenosis. They just have a lot of back muscle activation, like the lower back muscles. We call those the erector paraspinal muscles. Those are way too overactive, and this is a muscle imbalance. Is those muscles in the back of the spine, back, can't quite see it here, back, oh, my arm's in the way. Whew. Okay, right here, these muscles, instead of the glutes down here, these get too used, and you need to get stronger in the abdominals right here in the front so that you can get some balance, and it helps take pressure off the spine so you can fix that stenosis problem. All right. Hope that helps. Oh, and just about the adductor. So you're talking about like the adduction machine. I'm actually sitting right next to one right here. Oops, it flipped. It's this machine where you move your legs. Oh my goodness, this is all upside down now. Let's try this way. I have no idea what I just did. Try that again. All right, now we did it. It's where you move your legs together and apart. You don't want to do that one, because it strengthens the muscles that are going to feed into the imbalance. It doesn't strengthen your glutes. It doesn't strengthen your abdominals. In fact, when you get your back muscles stronger, it also makes your quads, your hip flexors stronger. Just it's the way the imbalances work out. So I would not advise strengthening those muscles. All right, we got a lot of questions coming in. I'm going to go down the line here just to give some priority here. If you're on YouTube, you have the ability to do a super chat. I will answer that question like right away. So I'll put you next in line. So if you want to do a super chat, go ahead and I'll answer right away. But I'm going to just keep going down the line otherwise here. Who's after Wendy? All right, we got Chantel throws a heart. Diana says hi. Hi, Diana. Hi from Jordan. Awesome. Other side of the world. Kimberly. Best glute exercise with broken hip. Oh, that's a tough one, Kimberly. I'm so sorry if that's you struggling with the broken hip. You need to, number one, like the number one most important thing to do is just squeeze your glutes. Like, let me see if I can do this without flipping the camera again. I'll just step away a little bit. You need to just get good at making the glutes activate, like in standing, in sitting, in every position you can possibly do it in, because then you're going to have the ability to do it in other exercises. If you go start trying to do a glute focused exercise with resistance, and maybe you do target the glutes for a bit, but it's likely that you're going to overcompensate with other muscles. That feeds into the imbalance. And so I would recommend not getting into like heavy exercises or aggressive exercises like what I'm going to do today. Probably not where you want to be. And it also depends how far out you are from the break. If you had surgery and all that, you need to get cleared by your doctor to make sure that it's okay for you to do all that stuff. So just make sure you check with them. All right. Youssef from Pakistan. What's up? How you doing, Youssef? And we have Marge Bolton from Florida and Ireland. Awesome. Welcome. We have Yasmin from Queens, NYC. Here's a question. Can we do deadlifts, adductor exercises if we have knee issues? It really comes back to that glute thing. If you don't have good glute activation, you shouldn't be doing any of that. But if you can on command tighten your glutes, then you're good to go. So I'm going to get started on my deadlifts here. I'm going to do my warm-up set. So just to show you about deadlifts, since you're asking me, this is my warm-up set. What I like to do to make sure my glutes are active, let me get a better camera angle for you guys here. Is at the bottom of the deadlift, push your knees out like this, because that activates your glutes right away. And ideally, you want to, like a lot of people try to do the deadlift like this, but you're not going to activate your glutes as much. You have to come down. Feet flat, of course. I'm just kind of getting down here, stretching a little bit. Once you start coming up, at the top, squeeze the glutes by shoving your hips forward. So knees out, butt tight. Knees out, butt tight. Pushing these out, squeeze the butt. Let me get my 20 or so reps in. I just go until I burn. I don't even count reps sometimes, just because I'll count the reps, but I still have gas in the tank, with right technique and form, using the right muscles. So I'll just keep going until it burns, because then I know I'm fatiguing the muscle properly. Right about there. All right, let me add on my next weights. So I'm ready to go. And then I'll get the next question in. Hope that answers your deadlift question. So, I always say, tighten your glutes, tighten your glutes. It's a big deal. And I think some people mistaken it for don't use quads at all. Because I say oftentimes, like, don't work out your quads. But what I really, just to be super clear, you're still going to use your quads. Sorry, I can't get this camera to stay still. I use my quads in that deadlift for sure. But I focus on my glutes. I felt my glutes get more tired. That's good. That's how it needs to be. All right, Yasmin, don't do the adductor exercises. Let's go to the next question here. Amir. Hello, doctor from Middle East, Sally. Oh, it's all right. In my right knee, I have crunching on its upper part of patellar a lot. And 1 out of 3 straightening the leg, it has Huge pop sound right on the upper part of the knee, P1. Okay, let me see if I get this straight. Crunching upper part of the kneecap, the patella. 1 out of 3 straightening the leg. It has a huge pop. Okay, so I think you're asking about just why is it happening? That's what I'm gonna answer. Usually that's a sign of over-pressurized, too much pressure going through the knee joint, and so it starts to compress the cartilage in the back of the kneecap against the thigh bone, and over time it starts to dehydrate the cartilage, which causes it to not be as smooth. Cartilage is supposed to reduce friction in the joint, so the joint can move freely. But if you have dehydrated cartilage, then it's going to not be as smooth, which means there's going to be more friction, which causes the crunchy noises and can cause that big loud pop when it wants to unstick itself because there's been less slickness in the joints. So short answer is you have a muscle imbalance. Your quads are likely over dominant. You need to shut those quads off, get them to relax, strengthen your glutes in the long term, and that should reduce it. Will it go away completely? I can't say. I still have crunching in my knees sometimes, but no pain. I can do all this stuff. I can run. I run for miles, I bike. I can do all that stuff. All right, Tina McMullen. I live in Canada, and you really helped me learn. I am undiagnosed rheumatoid arthritis, and my main issue is brachial plexus area on fire when I lay down and numb fingers. Oh, I've had that before. That's no fun. Number one thing for sure. So brachial plexus area is like the area between your neck and shoulder, right above your collarbone, or kind of even behind your collarbone. And the nerves there, they're the nerves that come off your neck that go through your neck, right behind the collarbone, and they go into your arm. Some go all the way down to your hands, fingertips. It usually has to do with weakness in the upper traps, these muscles up here. When these muscles get weak, it pulls the shoulder down, which stretches the brachial plexus. The collarbone will come down and press on it. I just released a video on YouTube about this. And that can add that pressure to the nerves, which can cause the numbness, tingling sensations, carpal tunnel-like symptoms. And if we can get the collarbones up and the upper trap stronger by doing shrugging exercises. So I usually tell people to start at a wall and shrug, and then eventually pick up weights overhead and shrug. That will get them to get pressure off the brachial plexus area and help with the hand numbness and tingling gradually over time. It's a process. It's not going to happen overnight. All right, I'm going to get my sit-ups in, but let me get the next question answered, or at least in my head, so I can start to answer it. So get my sit-ups. I'm going to do it on that mat right there. Samantha Woods. I have a fused knee. It doesn't straighten. Do you think I will ever be able to straighten it? Fused knee. Damn, that's a tough one. When we're talking about a fused knee, I think you probably mean stiff knee. Fused would mean like it's completely, the joint's completely stuck. Like if you took an x-ray, the bones would be fused together. It would look like there's no joint, or like remnants of a joint. If that's the case, then there's nothing that you can do. It's fused. But if it's stiff, meaning there's motion available, it's just stiff, then you can likely improve it. It just depends on how far gone the knee is. If you have arthritis, which you likely do. So what you need to work on is freeing up the muscles, because people focus on the joint and the bones, but the muscles have a lot to do with this. And if you can at least free that up, because you can get a big improvement in joint mobility when you free up the muscles around it, usually the quad muscles first, even the hamstrings and calves, and then start to move it within your available motion. And then you'll likely be able to get more range of motion out of your knee joint. Then after that, it depends on how well you can fix the muscle imbalance and get the You start to get the strength back in the glutes and other muscles. So I hope that answers you, Samantha. All right. We got Don here next. Don says, I have good muscle balance and can walk correctly with glute activation. Awesome. How do I know if my knee is too far gone and need surgery? I like this question a lot, Don. This is a good one. It's really your decision. It's up to your tolerance because it varies depending on your ability, your lifestyle, what you have to do. There's some people that I don't think that their knee is that far gone, but them personally, they run into limitations in life where they're like, I can't do this thing and that thing. And if I had the knee replacement, then I could do this thing and that thing. Then I'd be like, okay, go for the knee replacement. It's too far gone for you. But there's other people that, will start out with us. They'll be stiff. They'll have a big muscle imbalance, can't get their glutes active and all that. They work on all those things. And then the last part where you might be, Don, is strengthening, getting stronger in the glutes very often, in the foot muscles and the abdominal muscles. There's other muscles too. And the stronger you can get, which there's technically no limit on that. I mean, it's up to you if you want to go like bodybuilder, power lifter. You don't have to. If you just get 5% stronger, it's not going to be super visible. Like, you're not going to look like a bodybuilder. It's probably going to make an enormous difference in how you feel. And that difference might give you the certainty or the perception that you're okay without having surgery. In other words, it's not too far gone, and you'll be able to live like that. So it's really your call. It's an individual call. I can never tell people like, yep, surgery for sure, 100%. My best thing that I can do for anybody is guide them, just push them in the right direction so that they can choose for themselves if they want to have the surgery based on how they feel and how much improvement they're able to get, what their potential for improvement is. Cool. Hope that answers that question. Just to let you guys know, if you're on YouTube, so we're on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook right now. We're live. If you're on YouTube, you have the ability to do a super chat. I'm using this new software. I think it's supposed to tell me when somebody does a super chat. So that means like if you look in your chat options, there'll be a super chat option. If you leave a comment with the super chat, I'm going to answer you right away. Otherwise, I'm just going down the list. All right, who's next? Chantel says I'm upside down. Yeah, I know. I fixed it already. Thanks, Chantel. Amir says P2, part 2. Clicking on the part that is clear enough just with putting a finger on top of the knee while opening it. Okay, this is the second part of the question earlier. Clicking on that part is clear enough that just with putting a finger on top of the knee while open. Okay, I am not sure what you mean, Amir. I hope I answered your question from earlier. All right, let's get down to the next one here. Let's see if there's any other ones here. Oh, we got a question from Chantel. Hi, Chantel. What? I see where the super chat is. All right, I hope you're still with me, Chantel. She got a super chat in here. What gym equipment works out the glutes? Fantastic question. Nothing in here. When it comes to gym equipment, like I think you're referring to like a machine, like the ones you can see right over there. There's some that are supposed to be focused on the glutes. But let me tell you this, Chantel. If you are on a machine that's intended to work out the glutes and you don't feel it in your glutes, it doesn't matter. It's a moot point. Even though the machine says you're supposed to feel it, here's the thing. Our bodies have the ability to compensate. You can figure out a way, consciously or subconsciously, which is usually how this happens, Chantel, is your body just figures out a way to do it, not caring about which muscle to use. And so you might be on a glute machine and you're using more hamstrings. That's just the way that it goes. You have to be very deliberate and conscious about how you're doing an exercise so that you can make your glutes work. The deadlifts I just did a minute ago, I am thinking about it. And I've trained on this. I talk about this stuff all the time, but when I'm going to do the exercise, I'm very much like, all right, glutes engaged, knees out, kick in the right muscles. That being said, there's a bunch of things you can do. I like deadlifts. I like squats, especially with weight. We're talking gym exercises. So if you guys are on here and you have knee arthritis and you're like, I'm not going to be in the gym right now, that's okay. One day, maybe later. But if you are able to go to the gym, that's what I would be doing, is deadlifts, squats, cable hip extensions. So that's where you tie like a little strap around your ankle. You tie it to the cable machine. I've done some videos on this. And then you're bringing your leg back. You're just moving your foot behind you. Anything where you move your leg behind you kicks in, it should kick in your glutes. You can compensate with your hamstrings, so you have to be thinking about it. And as you progress through the sets and reps, you have to pay attention to which muscles you're using, because you might start out using your glutes really, really well, but then your glutes will run out of gas, but then your hamstrings take over, and then you finish the set using hamstrings. Not good. So if you say you intend to do 10 reps and rep 6 was glutes and then rep 7 turns into hamstrings, you should be stopping around 6 or 7 and not proceeding, because then you're training hamstrings at that point. So I hope this helps you. All right, we got another super chat here. Faith Banda. Oh, do you have a question, Faith? I don't have a question. I appreciate the donation. Thank you so much. I hope we've helped you in other ways. I'll see if I can see the next question here. All right, we got Das Raj. Which vitamins would help with muscles? Would help muscles or prevent cramps? Great question. I don't know. That's the short answer. I really don't know which supplements or vitamins are specific for cramps. So I'm not coming at you from an angle of like being sarcastic. There's no hard research. There's no like clear clinical experience where I can tell you like I've done this before or my patients have done this before. I've had patients that have tried all kinds of supplements. I've done it myself too. You know what I find is the biggest connection to cramping? It's not vitamins or supplements. It's hydration. So did you drink enough water? Are you drinking enough water? And then after that, it's weakness in muscles. So like if you're doing an exercise and you're doing a lot of reps, your muscles will just start cramping after a certain threshold because the muscles are just saying, I'm done. It's not a supplement or vitamin problem necessarily. It's just that's the capacity of that muscle right now. That's the level that it's at. It's not going to give you much more. So you just have to train it over time. And then after that, actually, I would say neurological problems. Like if you have a pinched nerve, like I was talking earlier about the brachial plexus thing, that can lead to cramping sometimes, in like arm muscles or like flinching in arm muscles, sciatica type problems down the lower leg. If you have pinched nerves, you can get cramping in your foot, in your hamstring, even in your calf muscle. If people have sciatica, they get cramps. It's because of a pinched nerve and muscle weakness combined. And then after that, fourth in line, I think then it's like a nutritional deficiency. That's what I've seen anyway. That's just my experience. I hope that helps. All right, let's see here. Next one is double bubble, double three bubble, double bubble. Degenerating L4, L5 since 15 with extreme pain, now 35. Straightening of cervical, kyphosis upper thoracic to mid thoracic to lower lumbar, degenerating as well. HLA B27. I don't know what HLA B27 is. Sorry. So sorry you're dealing with this. Since 15. Dang, that's a long time. You've had this issue for 20 years. So sorry, double bubble. I would go back to some sort of imbalance that you likely had, as once computers came around and smartphones came around, like in the started in the 90s really with like video games and things like that, even in the 80s, but definitely more predominantly in the 90s. Like I was one of those kids. I grew up in the 90s. I was around video games a lot, and I sat a lot. I didn't do a lot of activity. I was kind of out of shape. I was very out of shape actually, until I decided to start exercising and do sports. And I think it leads to problems like this. Some people are just more predisposed to get it at a younger age than others. I was lucky I didn't. I had knee issues and other things like that. But my advice is, if you're not working on getting strong, start working on it and do it in a way that is balanced for your spine, from neck, mid back, and low back. And what I focus on, just to help you out here, Double Bubble, is the upper traps for the neck and shoulders, because people don't focus on that. And that's just whenever you're reaching up overhead, make sure you shrug. The lower abdominals, because people don't do abs most of the time. And then when they do work on their ab strength, they work on the upper abs and they miss the lower abs. So I would focus specifically on the lower abs, because it just gives your lower half of your body a good foundation to work from. Then the glutes, and then foot muscles after that, toe flexors, because we all wear shoes, so we don't use our toes as much as we should, the way that the body's intended to use them to grip the ground and stabilize. We just rely on the soles of our shoes giving us stability. So you need a total body workout. Make sure that you're doing that. And if you can't activate those muscles right now, don't go start working out. Start with just turning on the muscles, like I was showing with the glutes earlier. Let me see if we have any super chats. No, not so far. So just thank you to Chantel. I already answered that question. And thank you to Faith Banda. No question there. Let's go back to the next question over here. We have, all right, I already answered Chantel. Deidre. Let me answer this while I'm doing my deadlifts. After an ankle fusion, how long for recovery? You're amazing. I cure my hip pain following your exercise for hip arthritis. Thank you for following our stuff. And I'm so glad that you feel better in your hip. Regarding the ankle fusion, sorry you had to have that done. That's no fun. No fun whatsoever. Let me just get my camera angle right. All right, you can see me deadlifting right there. So if I can just center it a bit more. All right, that's as good as it's gonna get. Ankle fusions can take a really long time because it's a weight bearing joint. Any weight bearing joint is gonna take a long time. I would follow the doctor's instructions, of course. They're probably gonna say it takes like 3 to 6 months. Some will be more honest and tell you 9 months. I don't think it's that they're not being honest. It's more so they just don't understand. Like they haven't had the procedure themselves, and they don't work. The surgeons themselves aren't doing the rehabilitation. They're not always around it, so they don't see it. But the ankle patients I've had, they tend to take the better part of a year. So you're looking at like 9 to 12 months. And really you're just trying to, at the beginning, recover from the incisions, recover from any, inside stuff that was done. I was getting my glutes there. Now we are. And then gradually work on bearing weight. Once your ankle can take it, depending on how you're supposed to, according to the doctor, then start to strengthen all the other muscles in the legs, because they'll lose strength because you haven't been on your feet as much. Whew, glutes. While you're going through your recovery after surgery, so you got to get all the leg strength back. Hope that answers that question. Have any other super chats here on YouTube? Not yet. If you have a burning question, you can do a super chat. I'll get to it first. Otherwise, I'm going down the line here. All right, what else we got here? Myrna Cooper says, is an under the desk elliptical bad for your arthritic knees? I'll answer that while I do sit-ups. All right, under the desk elliptical. It's this little machine you put on the floor, kind of like a bike. There are some that are more like a bike where they have pedals that go around, but the elliptical does more of like a walking-like motion. I'm not a fan of either. Under the desk, devices because they tend to make you work your quads and you're not using your glutes. Honestly, I think it's better to just fidget while you're sitting. You know, wiggle your legs, change positions, and then make time to go do exercises later on. If you can get into a workflow, or, you know, if you're watching a movie or a show or something, take a break every so often, every 20, 30, 45, 60 minutes, whatever it is for you that you need, and do some exercises. I get the concept though, is the machine's helping you do some movement. It's encouraging you to do movement. Maybe it's even moving your legs for you while you're sitting, so you don't have to get up. But the problem is I see people getting stronger in their quads doing that. So it's just feeding into the imbalance instead of fixing the problem. And it might feel good in the short term, but in the long term, you're feeding into the imbalance. It's going to put more pressure through your hips and knees. And so I wouldn't recommend it for that reason. All right, who's next here? We got Clarence Evans. Clarence, what exercises can you do for a heel spur? All right, let's get that question in as I do my calf raises. Oh, I gotta add my weights to my barbell too. Do the calf raises first. Heel spurs are interesting. So what we're talking about is on your foot. I don't want to mess up the camera. I'll just show you my shoe real quick. So visualize a foot here. On the heel, usually on this side, like under, sometimes it happens like where the Achilles tendon attaches right here. It's an extra bone growth. And that's what they call the heel spur. You can see it on an x-ray very often. To me, bone spurs develop because there's too much tension going through something. And if it's on the plantar side, on the bottom of the foot, on the underside of the foot, close to the heel, it's usually because you don't have enough toe strength. And so there's a tension going through other tissues of the body in that area, usually like the plantar fascia. It attaches to that part of the heel where you get the bone spur. And the bone spur develops as a protective mechanism to keep the tendon attached to the bone, to keep the connection there. The bone starts to grow so that you don't have a detachment of the tissue there. And so you have to fix the muscle imbalance. You have to get the toe stronger. You can't just make it go away. You know, there's no magic thing. Surgery could, some people will have them surgically removed. They come back because the toe strength isn't improved. And when I think about toe strength, you start out with curling your toes, being able to curl them all the way, and then gradually work your way up to doing heel raises, like calf raises. But I'm thinking about using my toes, like flattening out the toes. You can't just go do calf raises and the toes are not doing anything. Toes have to be gripping, because then that's how your toes are supposed to be used. They're supposed to be gripping the surface that you're on. And so if you're doing heel raises off a ledge like I'm doing right now, toes need to be planted down so that it gives your ankle stability and you're not forcing more force, more tension to go through the plantar fascia. So that's how I would look to prevent it. Best case right now is like, you're not going to get rid of it. You're going to prevent it from getting worse and hopefully take the pain away. It likely hurts because of that tension. You can have a painless bone spur. So I think that's your best shot, is get those toes stronger. Bone spurs are going to always be there on an x-ray likely, but at least it won't hurt you and you can still do stuff. Do we have any super chats? Let me see here. Just don't want to miss them. Nope, still just Chantel and Faith. What we got next? I lost my place over here. We're on Clarence. There, found you. All right, we got Barbara WC. For arthritis and left hip, I want to strengthen my glutes. Any water exercises or walking? Great question. Water exercises. This gets asked about a lot. And there was some research done, a decent amount of research done that shows that, it's better. And people just feel better right away when you get in the water, right? Because it offloads you. You feel less pressure going through the joints. Here's the thing. You don't live in water. So you have to eventually learn how to do land-based stuff. I'm not against water. I'm not against doing any exercises in water. I think it's fine. The only ask that I have when people go to do water exercises is, if we're talking about hip arthritis, work out your glutes. Make sure that the water exercises make your glutes work. Because if the water exercises make your quads and hip flexors work, the muscles in the front of your hips and thighs, then you're going to feed into the imbalance. And it might feel good while you're in the water. You might feel less weight and pressure through your hip joint. It might feel better for that moment. But if you worked out your hip flexors, you get out of the water later that day, the next day, you're back in the same situation. You've just been making that muscle imbalance even worse. So the pressure in the hip joint is going to come back. And people make this connection with, I feel better when I'm in the water, so water therapy must be water aerobics, water exercise, water therapy, whatever you're doing must be beneficial and helpful. But the exercises that you're doing while in the water need to be looked at, and how you're doing them, what muscles you're using. So when people ask me about it, I'm like, you can do it or not. I don't care. Just work out your glutes. Just make sure they turn on. And if you have access to a pool or you like to go to the pool, go for it. Absolutely. It's not a bad thing. But when you're on the land, you better still be working out your glutes. You better be walking with your glutes. So with walking, you have to activate the glutes as you walk. So as I bear weight on the right leg, I'm going to tighten the right glute. As I bear weight on the left leg, I'm going to tighten the left glute. If you're walking in a pool, it's the same thing. If you're standing on 2 feet, both glutes should be a little bit active. If you stand up and you don't feel your glutes a little active, and you think closely about what muscles are holding you up, it's probably your quads. Likely you feel your quads getting tired after standing for several minutes without moving. And it's the same thing in the pool. I hope that helps, Barbara. All right, let me do some more calf raises here. So here, Galab. Hi, Dr. David. How do I get rid of a Baker cyst? Great question. Well, we have to ask the question first of what is a Baker cyst, because everybody seems confused about it, even in medicine. Raul, one of my recovery coaches, put it really nicely. He said, a Baker cyst is a symptom of knee arthritis. People think that it's a separate thing from knee arthritis, but I agree wholeheartedly with Raul. It is a symptom of knee arthritis, meaning maybe you haven't been diagnosed with knee arthritis yet. Maybe the x-ray isn't showing that you have knee arthritis yet, but it's the imbalance that's causing, the same imbalance that causes knee arthritis is what's setting up a Baker cyst. It's just that some people are predisposed to get the Baker cyst. Some people are it's genetics. The tissues in the back of the knee where that cyst forms are just a little bit weaker, and the fluids inside the knee start to build up in reaction to that extra pressure going through the hip, through the knee joint. And when the fluids build up to try to help the joint, putting space in there, lubricating the joint, whatever the fluid does, all that stuff, if you have too much fluid in a confined space, it tries to find a way out. So it bulges out of the back of the knee for some people. So we have to fix the muscle imbalance. If you haven't been diagnosed with knee arthritis already, you have it. You can pretty much tell yourself you have it. Oh, we got another super chat here. Chantel's back. Hi, Chantel. Put hers up here. All right. What are your thoughts on the shoes that look like feet? Please say leave them at home. My husband wears them. I love it, Chantel. I agree with you, Chantel. 100%. Chantel's husband, leave them at home. I'm going to have to back up Chantel on this. No, truth be told, they're not my favorite because most people that use them probably don't need them. Now, that being said, there are some people that can get away with using them just fine. So just to come to Chantel's husband's defense, if you have decent foot strength and you don't have any foot pain and you really don't have any other problems in your legs, then putting on shoes that are like minimal sole and allow you to move your toes individually, those like the Vibram 5-finger shoes were the most famous ones a while back. They might still be. Those are good for those people. They're good for the people that just love being barefoot and are barefoot most of all the time and like to even run barefoot. Go for it, because it's protection for your feet, so you're not truly just walking around barefoot and cutting your feet on, something sharp on the floor. But telling somebody who's got a foot problem or a knee or a hip problem to start wearing those, not a good idea. And this is where I have beef, Chantel, where I back you up, because the people that are going to benefit from wearing them, the ones that like wearing them and like being barefoot and all that, they tend to be evangelists of these. And they're like, you got to do this. This is the best thing ever. And they're trying to tell everybody else to do it too. And it's not for everybody. If you don't have good foot strength, if you have foot, ankle, hip, knee problems, even back problems, you probably shouldn't be wearing those shoes. And ignore the people that are selling them to you, or, not literally selling it to you, but like selling the idea to you of like, you got to be in these shoes. I would just say, great, I'm glad they work for you. I'm gonna stick to my nice, thick, athletic shoes. I wear them too. I have some foot problems and I have some knee problems if I don't manage them well. And I do like to be barefoot. Like at home, I'm not running around barefoot. I like to lift weights barefoot, but I'm doing it very controlled and stable. And it's a little dusty in here right now because we had a big dust storm in El Paso last week. I hope that answers your question, Chantel. I back you up. All right, who's next over here? A little bit longer, I can go here. I'm almost done. We got like another few minutes. And if anybody has any burning questions, drop a super chat like Chantel did, and I will get to it right away now that I found it. What do we have next here? Golly, I lost my place. Okay, here we go. I was on Baker Cyst. Now we are on Liza. Hi from Serbia. Oh, hello. Hi, Liza. And then we have Jane Corbett. You are awesome and so helpful. Thank you, Jane. Thank you for following us. I appreciate it. I hope that you're better in life because of this. I just want everybody to go do good stuff. If I can provide you with information that helps you be healthier so that you can go be great at whatever you're great at, that makes my day. So I'm happy about that. I answered this one for Chantel already about the glutes. Equipment for glutes in the gym. I answered Deidre's. I don't think I answered Susan's here. All right, we got Susan Nicholson. I have lumbar spinal stenosis, a right hip replacement, and tricompartmental right knee OA. With 90-degree knee flexion. Okay, so you can't bend more than 90 degrees. How can I go upstairs? As I have areas of daily persistent pain. Oh, that's a tough one. You're gonna struggle. Let me put my weights on. Susan, that is a tough situation. If you can't bend your knee more than 90 degrees, that means that you probably have a massive muscle imbalance and you got a lot of work ahead of you. So, using the stairs consistently and properly without having to modify how you go up and down the stairs is going to be a challenge to do immediately. It's going to take you some time. So my best answer for doing stairs right now is I would try to avoid it. I wouldn't be doing it because it's just going to put you in a situation where you're going to aggravate things. So glutes. I would work on freeing up the quads right now. Start making sure your glutes are active by just squeezing them and sitting and standing, lying down. And then make sure your lower abs are getting active as well. Foot muscles. That's going to help the back, the hips, the knees. And you're looking at months of work to get to the point where we can have a conversation about going up and down the stairs successfully without problems. but you're not going to be doing it right away. All right. I'm going to take one more question. Oh, we got another super chat. Hadia, let me bring it up. Hadia, hip thrusts, RDLs, Bulgarian split squats, standing marches for lower abs, hip extensions, abductor exercises, machine. Good mornings, which are okay? Great question, Hadia. Whew. Catch my breath here. I think I'll just answer this one and then log off. I wouldn't say any of them are terrible. There's some that I like better than others. Let me just go down the line here. Hip thrusts. Just about any version of a hip thrust is going to be all right as long as you can use your glutes. People will start to compensate with hamstrings and back muscles. And as soon as that starts to happen, you need to stop, lower the weight. You really need to concentrate and focus on your glutes. RDLs, same thing. Like, it's easy to use back. And RDLs are short for Romanian deadlifts, like stiff, straight-legged deadlifts. I'm a fan of the deadlifts like I just did right now, because when you bend your knees like that, you're better able to get your glutes involved. It's going to be more back and hamstring driven in a Romanian deadlift. But some people, based on genetics, you know, upper back or upper body length versus legs. Like, so I'm longer in my upper body. So if I bend over, I start using my back muscles right away. But if you have more legs and upper body, maybe you can't get away with Romanian deadlifts. Bulgarian split squats are advanced. I would not be doing those unless you're certain you can activate your glutes consistently. And I would, not up the weight aggressively unless you know for sure you can get your glutes. They're great for glutes, by the way. You can get your glutes very tired and fatigued with Bulgarian split squats, but they're risky for somebody who's like just getting started with something. I wouldn't work on them right away. It's advanced. Standing marches for lower abs. I'd say neutral on this one. I don't love it, but I don't hate it. If you can get your lower abs working while doing standing marches, I'm all for that. I think we don't get our lower abs to work enough. There's better ways to do lower abs, like the sit-ups that I was doing a second ago, which I'm going to do here in a minute. But the marching part means you're going to be picking up your knees, which means you're going to be using your hip flexors. Now, it's not with weight or against gravity because you're standing and marching. So that's the plus about it. But if you're doing like straight leg lifts from lying down, then you're going to be doing a lot of hip flexor work. I wouldn't want that. Hip extensions, awesome. As long as you target your glutes, it's possible to use hamstrings and back muscles or even other muscles in the hip to do that. Abductor exercises, the machine where you're moving your legs out against resistance. Not my favorite because you're not going through hip extension. I'm a big fan of we need to get into some extension when we're working out glutes. You can target glutes if you kind of turn your legs out a little bit, your thighs, but it's just you're seated. That's the thing, you're seated. So I'd rather you be doing stuff in standing. And then good mornings, get your glutes active and you're all right. All right, guys. That was the last question. Thank you all so much for being on here. We got 119 people on, watching live right now. 120 just went up. We had Chantel, thank you for a couple of super chats here. Faith, thank you. And Hadia, 23. Thank you guys so much. All right, I'm looking at doing this every week. Hopefully next week I'll be joined by some friends. We can also answer some questions. That'll be really cool. So Thursday afternoons, watch out. I'll schedule it so that you guys can subscribe and you'll get a notification that we're here. All right, bye-bye.